Well, I guess I'm most known for being the singer and keyboard player in Theric band Styx. That's what I think people know me as the most. Imagine this, 1979. Styx is performing at Madison Square Garden. Tens of thousands of admirers are singing along to Dennis DeYoung's high voice on Come Sail Away. The lights are flashing, the energy is high, and the band seems to be on top of the world. But behind the scenes there were frigid staircases, secret wars, and broken trust. DeYoung was the band's voice, yet he was progressively becoming an outsider. Dennis D has finally spoken up after years of silence. Young is not holding back anymore. What he says about Styx's is more than just shocking. It changes everything fans thought they knew about the band. In the beginning, Styx's was only a dream that came to life on the streets of Chicago. DeYoung, his brother-in-law John Kurolowski, and the Pinanzo brothers built the base. Then came Tommy Shaw, the person who would start both success and conflict. DeYoung was very focused, intense, and had a vision. He wasn't only a keyboardist, he was the band's designer. He liked big ideas, drama, and perfection. But this urge to be creative quickly turned into a problem. James DeYoung and Tommy Shaw didn't want Broadway. They wanted guitars that burned and genuine rock energy. Battlegrounds broke out during rehearsals. Fights broke out over decisions. The piece on stage hid the conflict that was going on behind it. 1983. Styx were on the verge of change and death. Dennis DeYoung wasn't only writing music when he wrote Kilroy Was Here. He was writing a rock opera, a play that was a protest against censorship and conformity, heavy on synths, dramatic, and conceptual. It was everything DeYoung had ever wanted. Tommy Shaw and James DeYoung, on the other hand, thought it was a nightmare that they couldn't wake up from. DeYoung put all of his heart and soul into Kilroy, writing futuristic characters, creating elaborate stage performances, and making musicians who never signed up to be performers act like actors. Tommy Shaw, in particular, felt stifled, not just creatively but also financially. He used to be the group's rock and roll firebrand, but now he was dressed up in a costume, saying prepared lines, and miming DeYoung's dreams of the future under bright lights. There was a lot of anxiety backstage. People say that Shaw grew quiet and irritable, not being able to remember the band he used to adore. He fell into a deep depression. Young got more and more angry with DeYoung's need to be in charge. What should have been practice turned into arguments that had been planned. It seemed like a battlefield every time we did a sound check. Every show was a forced performance. Fans were not sure what to do. There were mixed reviews. Styx's was on fire inside, but not in a good way. They acted like a group on stage. They went in quiet off stage, staying at different hotels, riding in different cars, and hardly making eye contact. The link that used to hold them together had turned into anger, fear, and ego. And I added that sometimes in life, as you get older and wiser, you need to change your dreams. If a certain dream isn't working for you, you know what to do. Then things went crazy on the tour. Fights got really bad. There were almost physical fights. Shaw couldn't handle it anymore because he was emotionally drained and creatively blocked. He didn't simply leave the album. He also left the band. The breakup was quick and violent. The goal of Kilroy Was Here was to raise Styx to a higher level of art. Instead, it broke them in half. The album that showed DeYoung's artistic drive became the band's downfall. What used to make Styx brave and different, people now wanted to hurt Young because of his big dreams. And in the end, Dennis DeYoung was the only one left. Not as a hero or a leader, but as a guy who was accused for ruining the thing he helped construct. By the end of the 1990s, supporters were going crazy. People were talking about a Styx reunion, and everyone wanted to see the original lineup, notably Dennis DeYoung, perform again. After all, he was the band's heart and soul, the one who had the initial idea for it. DeYoung, who was now better and eager to come back, really thought it was time to restore the brotherhood. He waited and hoped, but what happened next would make him lose all faith in the individuals he previously called friends. Tommy Shaw and James DeYoung decided to keep Styx functioning without its founding voice, instead of calling or giving help, and that's not all. They also got a new lead singer, someone who could copy Dennis's voice, movements, and songs exactly. It wasn't about coming up with new ideas. It was about getting a new one. It was frigid, planned out, and businesslike, and it hit DeYoung like a knife. Fans were shocked. Headlines sounded like treachery. The man who gave Styx its name, its best songs, and its sound was no longer welcome. The band started traveling under the moniker Styx and playing hits like Babe, The Best of Times, and Come Sail Away. This was the last straw. All of them were written or co-authored by DeYoung, and not one of them gave credit to the guy who wrote them. And Young, he watched everything happen from the sidelines at home alone. He is still getting better from his illness, still foolishly thinking that they would call and do the right thing. Instead, they saw him as a problem, a burden, and a name they no longer needed. He attempted to reach out and understand, but there was no room for peace and no desire to find a solution. What had begun as creative differences in the 1980s had now become an emotional blood fight. There were soon legal fights over the name, authorship credits, and performance rights, according to Mintz. Every lawsuit and lawyer letter made things worse. Interviews went nasty. The press used words like ego, control freak, and delusional. There was no way to fix the harm. So, as the band moved on with a well-planned image and a new era, Dennis DeYoung receded into the background, not by choice but by force. His legacy, which used to be loud and bright, was being rebuilt in real time, but not with truth. Instead, it was being rewritten with silence. The betrayal for DeYoung wasn't only work-related, it was quite personal and would stay with him for a long time. While Styx's reputation kept filling venues, Dennis DeYoung was stuck in a silent fight, not just with his old comrades, but also with his own body. In the late 1990s, he had a strange ailment that made his life come to a scary stop. He became very sensitive to light and couldn't work, record, or even leave his house without feeling nauseous and confused. Months went by in total darkness. The blinds were closed, the lights were off, and the music was turned off. That's when it happened. The other members of Styx's made a choice that broke him when he was at his weakest and most open. They left without him. He wasn't merely forgotten. He got a new job. The machine kept going while he was in recuperation, both physically and mentally. His voice, face, and identity were thrown to the side and into the shadows. And that hurt a lot more than any sickness. The music business, which is always moving forward, didn't wait for him. Agents stopped making calls. People who were supposed to help him disappeared. Venues pulled out of plans to go alone. His name used to be common on mares, but now it was thought to be too hazardous and too hard. He moved from being the main character in his own story to being a ghost. The betrayal wasn't just work-related. It was quite intimate. The individuals who had once been like brothers acted like he was nothing. He had to watch from the sidelines as the Styx brand kept getting stronger without him. His legacy went around without anyone saying thank you or recognizing it. Depression set in. His marriage was hurt by his stress, perplexity, and emotional breakdown. People said that there were days when he wouldn't get out of bed. Music, which had previously saved him, now made him sad. Even playing the piano seemed like opening old scars. But Dennis DeYoung is not a man who breaks up without a fight. As time went on, he started to fight back, not with litigation or anger, but with art. He started writing again, but slowly. First, he tried out theater, wrote new songs, and made up scenarios that showed how sad he was. Creativity came from anguish. Resilience stemmed from being betrayed. The scars were still there. Even years later, when he spoke in public, his words were heavy. The heaviness of being taken out of what he made with his own hands. His disease may have gone away, but the memories of being thrown away when he was at his most human and broken never really went away. When Styx shoved Dennis DeYoung away, the fire didn't go out. It just changed direction. But the same passion that made him a great performer also made him a problem behind closed doors. Once Styx's was no longer his battlefield, his fight expanded to boardrooms, production meetings, and even his own household. He fought with record company executives who sought to change his solo image because they thought he was too dramatic. He said no. One executive is said to have dubbed him unmanageable. Producers on a wide range of projects, from studio recordings to stage shows, are left feeling weary and disappointed. He put the same energy and passion into every tune, every lighting cue, and every costume as he did into Purr. Not everyone could keep up. DeYoung wanted to start over when he got into musical theater in the 1990s and early 2000s. His rock musical, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, became quite popular. but others who worked on it said that the rehearsals were hard and that DeYoung's refusal to follow orders. Some people liked his vision, while others couldn't stand it. Collaborations often terminated in anger. DeYoung thought that giving in was like betraying someone. The fights didn't end at the door. Long-buried grudges about money, inheritance, and career choices started to come out in his family. There were fights about loyalty, business decisions, and who really had his back. His intense fixation with his legacy and how he would be remembered took over his life. It took over everything else at times. One day he could be warm and kind, and the next day he could be frigid and aggressive. People who were close to them started to pull away. Some people stopped answering the phone. Some people silently pulled away from him because they couldn't stand to see him becoming more and more alone. People who stayed saw a guy fighting ghosts, Styx that betrayed him, a business that didn't care, and allies who had once been trusted, but were now silent. The more he fought for attention, the more alone he felt. Tried to control the story of his own life. Young pushed away the people who had once been there for him. It was no longer just a fight for musical recognition. It was a conflict that people needed to see, hear, and remember. And it had a price that no gold record could erase. DeYoung sits at a peculiar crossroads today, worshipped by fans for generations, but the band he helped start and mold has forever forgotten about him. People still like his solo albums. People still play his tunes at weddings. His voice is still instantaneously broken, extremely iconic, and yet when Styx appears on stage today, it's as if he never existed. There is a lot of personal suffering behind the admiration. DeYoung didn't simply lose a band. He lost brothers. What used to feel like a family became a frigid machine. Shaw and Young used to work together creatively, but now they seem like ghosts from a past life, unreachable and emotionally gone. They don't say anything or answer. There is no apology, no closure, and no sound. And the pain of the eraser. But the betrayal didn't break him. Not all the way. He pulled back. He was sad. But he also made things. He put his pain into music, solo projects, orchestral tours, and narrating stories. There is a greater truth in every note he sings today. A man striving to get back not only his name, but also his legacy. He made Styx in a basement in Chicago. He gave it a heart, a story, and a voice. Even though other people may still use that name, they can't get rid of the fingerprints he left on every record, lyric, every note. DeYoung is now speaking openly, with time running out and the stage lights dimming. The agony, the betrayal, and the exile are all flowing out, not to get back at someone, but to tell the truth. The last curtain isn't just about endings. It's also about leaving a mark. DeYoung also won't let quiet rewrite his